Hey everyone, and welcome back to What Did I Miss, where today I'm going big and looking into what may be the biggest monster movie ever produced, which is of course the upcoming legendary picture monsterverse movie, Godzilla vs. Kong. Most of the time, especially in the last year or so, we have been used to hearing about movies getting pushed back from their release date, but this is a movie that has actually been pushed up to be released in theaters and on HBO Max on March 26th, which happens to be the day before this monster fan's birthday. The reason being that it seems like the world can't wait for these two to go at it on screen, as the internet has been crazy ever since a short teaser for the movie was released in the third week of January. And why not? After the year we have had, everyone can use some escapism, and what better than an end of the world movie that has nothing to do with disease or politics. But since the movie was supposed to be released last year, there have been many leaks about plot details, which include a bunch of toys that had been released overseas before the movie came out. I will go over the teaser as well as the plot leaks and piece together the story for you, while also going over the main human characters, which include some new faces as well as some returning. Finally, I will go over the powers and size dimensions of these two beasts in a sort of tale of the tape, which is really interesting now that it looks like Kong has grown up quite a bit in the 50 plus years since we last saw him in the movie Skull Island. I will explain why Kong has grown so much and what implications that will have to his ability to stand up with the reigning king of the monsters, Godzilla. So let's dive into Godzilla vs. Kong by first looking at what the plot of the movie is rumored to be. I'm going to put a spoiler warning up since while some of the information I'm going to share has not been confirmed, I did try and find each piece of information in more than one place and use sources that have usually been right on or pretty close in the past. The plot of the movie is reported to center on humanity dealing with the aftermath of the last battle seen in Godzilla King of the Monsters, in which all the titans or monsters left on Earth were awoken and brought to the surface of the planet. According to this universe, these titans are from the time of the dinosaurs and were forced into hibernation, but were brought out of hibernation by the combined efforts of Monarch as well as the titan Ghidorah. The battle left most of the major cities of the world ravaged, and they are now overgrown with plant life due to the effects the titans have on the environment around them. Monarch, the mysterious company that has been tracking and in some cases helping these monsters throughout the movies, have begun exploring the Hollow Earth, which has been mentioned in both the Kong and Godzilla movies. The purpose is to discover more about the origins of the Titans and a way to coexist with them or possibly send them back there. The plot leak I read stated that the key to this plan is an entrance to the Hollow Earth on Skull Island, which is where we last saw Kong and where we were told all the unearthed Titans were heading towards the end of the last Godzilla film. Monarch hopes to be able to return the Titans to the Hollow Earth, which would allow for humanity to rule the surface again. But there's another organization, and it is the one that Jonah, who was played by Charles Dance in the last Godzilla film, was a part of, and they are known as Apex. Apex believes that they can control the Titans and are working on genetic and cybernetic research to create their own. The leak states that Apex is able to breed Titans from the remnants of dead ones and will be successful in creating at least one from genetic material, which may be a new Titan known as Warbat, which is one of the leaks associated with the toys that were released overseas. This Titan looks like it could be made from the same genetic material as Ghidorah, as its head and tail look similar, plus it has wings. The other Titans that we have seen in prior movies are also set to return, as a Skull Crusher toy has been shown in the collection as well, and this was a Titan that was last seen at Skull Island. But the biggest accomplishment of Apex will be when they use the severed head of Ghidorah that we saw them acquire at the end of the last movie and create a cybernetic titan named Godzilla. The plan is to use this thing, sort of like the Jaegers in Pacific Rim, to battle the titans when they attack, but things do not go to plan and Godzilla begins to run amok and destroy his creators. But of course, to be the king you have to kill the king, and once Godzilla and Kong meet Godzilla, they team up to destroy him and save the Earth. It will be revealed that Godzilla sees himself as the king of the ocean, while Kong sees his domain as dry land, and once their ecosystems are threatened, they spring into action. But there will also be a battle between Godzilla and Kong that is supposed to be at least 5 minutes of uninterrupted, unedited fighting, in which the camera will not pan away, and it sounds to be pretty epic. So now that we went over the basic plot, let's briefly go over the human characters, because those are always the most uninteresting part of the movies anyways. Returning will be Kyle Chandler and Miley Bobby Brown from the last Godzilla film, as well as Dr. Chen from the same film, who played a character meant to be based on the Mothra twin fairies from the Toho Godzilla franchise. Mothra was killed in the last movie, but in the end credits another egg was discovered, so we'll no doubt see her again. New to the cast are Alexander Skarsgård as Nathan Lind, which is said to be a human character on Kong's side, as well as Demian Bashir as Walter Simmons, who along with his daughter played by Isa Gonzalez, align with Apex. Rebecca Hall, another MCU alum, will be playing a mysterious character that is essentially the mole for Apex within the Monarch organization, and Lance Riddick will play the director of Monarch. Miley Bobby Brown's character, as well as Isa Gonzalez's character, are reported to be paired up for a good part of the film, with Brown possibly being betrayed by Gonzalez's character character, and them eventually taking on the main good versus evil plot for the humans, as both are supporting their fathers. One cast member was just announced, and that is Shun Oguri, who will be playing Ren Shirazawa, son of Ken Watanabe's character from the first two Godzilla films. I don't know anything else about the character, but if I had to guess, I would say that if Alexander Skarsgård is the human supporting Kong, I would think that Shirazawa's son will be supporting Godzilla. But the main plot line involving the human cast will be the battle between Monarch and Apex and how to deal with the Titans. Alright, now the funnest part, the tail of the tape. The teaser was very short, but it actually gave a lot away. The first being that Kong is now about as tall as Godzilla, after being shown to be much smaller in the first Kong film. According to the legendary promotional details, Kong was only about 32 meters tall in that film, while the last time we saw Godzilla, he was almost 4 times the height of that. From the teaser, Kong looks to be just as tall, and that may not be just because he said his prayers and ate his vitamins. Now, I want to preface this by saying that Legendary Pictures has not always been consistent with how they size their monsters, and in fact, took a lot of heat for how inconsistent Godzilla was in the first film. But this growth looks deliberate, since if you go back to Skull Island, there are 2 scenes that show how large an adult Kong would be. One is when the humans find themselves in a graveyard of Kong's parents, and 2 is when we arrive at the village that's on the island. If Kong's species did grow to the size he is in Godzilla vs. Kong, naturally, that wall would have been useless. At the end of Skull Island, Kong returned to the hollow Earth, which is close to the Earth's core and is radioactive. It has all been established that radiation is what mutated these creatures to begin with, so hanging out for 50 years next to the center of the Earth is no doubt what caused Kong to mutate to this size. But what about their powers and abilities? Well, we know that Godzilla is packing all kinds of DPS. His strengths include his size, which he uses to his advantage, and he also has extremely durable skin thanks to being able to live in the ocean, which allows him to be dangerous on both land and sea. He also has atomic breath, which seems to have to charge up for him to do it, as well as being able to emit radioactivity from his body after absorbing it. His biggest weakness, besides his short arms, is his stamina, as this big boy can only go a few rounds before he has to take a nap. Kong, on the other hand, seems to have excellent stamina, as he's able to move fast and often during all his fights. Kong is also probably a good deal smarter than Godzilla, as mammals usually have larger brains than amphibians. One of the toys released shows that Kong is using an axe, and we have seen him use other objects as weapons before. He also has a great deal more agility than Godzilla, which means that he can move out of the way of some of Godzilla's slower, powerful attacks. But where Godzilla really has Kong is that Kong is basically naked and has little to no protection. In fact, all the toys for Kong for this movie show battle damage that may have been left over since the last movie, showing that he scars easily and does not heal completely. Finally, I want to talk about a few things concerning the teaser that I have not mentioned, and one is that it looks like Kong is wearing a collar around his neck. Some people have theorized that this is some sort of mind control device, and that is how and why these two titans fight. But from what I've read, this is in fact a collar that was attached to a chain used by humans to capture Kong and take him from Skull Island. In almost every Kong movie, we see Kong being taken to America and then breaking free, and this will be an homage to this common trope. Also, I've read some people say that this teaser may not even be from the movie, and that it is just used to promote the movie, but the image was released earlier as concept art, so I'd be very surprised if it did not end up in the final cut. Lastly, if you're wondering when a full trailer is going to be released, I'm going to say that since the NFL playoffs are this weekend, we will see a trailer this weekend or next. Usually after a teaser is released, a trailer is released within 2 to 4 weeks of it, but since this movie was pushed up from May, I would bet on the small end of that timeline. Well, that is everything I know about Godzilla vs. Kong, but you let me know, what did I miss? Once the trailer does drop, I'll be doing more videos about this movie as I love talking about it. So be sure to smash that subscribe bell if you want to see them. Also, if you want to help the channel, hit that like button as well, because it's pretty hard for a little old channel like mine to make any noise fighting up against these other big titans. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait for this movie, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?